Tulsi Gabbard resigned as Director of National Intelligence, citing her husband's health. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Washington app. Tulsi Gabbard resigned as President Donald Trump's Director of National Intelligence on Friday, saying she needed to leave office as her husband battles cancer. She is the fourth cabinet member to depart during Trump's second term, all of them women. In her resignation letter, which she posted on social media, Gabbard said she told Trump she would leave her job overseeing the coordination of 18 intelligence agencies on June 30. She said her husband had recently been diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer and faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months. At this time, I must step away from public service to be by his side and fully support him through this battle, she wrote in the letter, which was reported earlier by Fox News. Trump, in his own social media post, said Tulsi has done an incredible job, and we will miss her. He said her principal deputy, Aaron Luckers, will serve as acting director of national intelligence, while Gabbard says her departure is for personal reasons. The juxtaposition between her long-held anti-interventionism stance and Trump's series of overseas military operations had seemed to put them on a collision course. Iran put Gabbard and Trump at odds. There had been rumblings that Gabbard would split with Trump after the president's decision to strike Iran, which caused some division within his administration. Joe Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center, announced his resignation in March and said he cannot in good conscience back the war. Gabbard, a veteran and former Democratic congresswoman from Hawaii, built her political name on her opposition to foreign wars. This put her in an awkward position when the U.S. joined Israel in launching attacks on Iran on Feb. 28. During a congressional hearing in March, her measured comments were notable for their careful non-endorsement of the Iran war. She repeatedly dodged questions about whether the White House had been warned of potential fallout from the conflict, including Iran's effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway crucial for global oil shipments. Gabbard said in written remarks to the Senate Intelligence Committee that there had been no effort by Iran to rebuild its nuclear capability after U.S. attacks last year obliterated its nuclear program. That statement contradicted Trump, who has repeatedly asserted that the war was necessary to head off an imminent threat from the Islamic Republic. Read more. This created several awkward exchanges with lawmakers who asked Gabbard for her opinion on the threat posed by Iran as the nation's top intelligence official. She repeatedly said it was Trump's decision to strike, not hers. It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat, she said. Gabbard's departure follows Trump having ousted Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in late March in the midst of mounting criticism over her leadership of the department, including the handling of the administration's immigration crackdown and disaster response. The second cabinet member to leave was Attorney General Pam Bondi, in response to growing frustration over the Justice Department's handling of files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Remur resigned in April after being the target of various misconduct investigations. Luckers, who will be taking over for Gabbard, was an intelligence aide to the acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grenell, in 2020 during Trump's first term, a former policy analyst at the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank. He also served as Deputy Senior Director for Europe and Russia at the National Security Council in the final year of Trump's previous administration. A surprising choice for the job. A military veteran, but without any intelligence experience, Gabbard was a surprising choice for Director of National Intelligence. She ran for president in 2020 on a progressive platform and her opposition to U.S. involvement in foreign military conflicts. Citing her military experience, she argued that U.S. wars in the Middle East had destabilized the region, made the U.S. less safe, and cost thousands of American lives. Gabbard later dropped out of the race and endorsed the ultimate winner, President Joe Biden. 2 years later, she left the Democratic Party to become an independent, saying her old party was dominated by an elitist cabal of warmongers and woke ideologues. She subsequently campaigned for several high-profile Republicans and became a contributor to Fox News. She later endorsed Trump, who also was a strong critic of past U.S. wars in the Middle East and campaigned on a pledge to avoid unnecessary wars and nation-building overseas. Iran caused early tensions, but friction with the president started soon after he began his second term and tapped Gabbard to lead AGNI, which was set up after the Sept. 11, 2001 attacks to improve coordination between the nation's intelligence agencies. Shortly after taking on the job, and before this year's war, Gabbard testified before lawmakers that there was no intelligence suggesting Iran was seeking to develop nuclear weapons. After Trump launched attacks on Iranian nuclear sites last June, he said Gabbard was wrong and that he didn't care what she said. She appeared to be back in Trump's good graces when she took a lead role in Trump's effort to relitigate his 2020 election loss to Biden. She appeared at an FBI